A warm welcome to today's tutorial. So this will be a quick discussion on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And before that, I welcome the new subscribers and also I thank all the ones who have been staying in connect. So I hope you like my videos and you will be able to have certain insights in the various discussions that are taking place. Now certainly today we will be looking into a quick understanding and discussion on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which is a 14th century chivalric romance. So this chivalric romance, as we know, was written during the 14th century by an anonymous writer. And as we read it, we see that the language is not very similar as we read in modern times. So definitely it has certain Midland dialect or is written in the Middle English. Certainly it influences the succeeding literary periods with the idea of romance, alliterative verse and narrative poetry. So it is known because of its epic form and theme of grandeur. Because if we talk about the titles, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, we are immediately taken aback with the idea of chivalry, courtly events, king and queen and battles and games and so on. So similarly, talking of the epic and the grandeur of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, we clearly enter in Arthurian story. Now if we talk about its genre, then we may call it an alliterative verse. So as we know that even in Middle English and Old English prominently, alliterative verse was significant. So in this kind of verse, alliteration is the principal device that is added to the metrical structure. Now alliteration makes this elaborate yet symmetrical structure of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight not only a not only a very unique form and style of Middle English, but also allow it to infuse mythic and symbolic content. Also, we can call it a narrative poetry. So, if we talk about and move a little further, we see Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, Langland's Piers the Plowman, and Tennyson's Eata's of the King all are narrative poetry. Now, what is something very unique of narrative poetry is that it talks about a tale of great legend or great purpose or great intention and uses both the voice of a narrator and a character. So, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight also is a very long poem that accounts details of battles, games, hunting, temptation, which is weaved in the format of a story. Now, since the poem do not have any rhyme structure, which is a feature of narrative poetry because we do not see anything that sets a very rhymed format and is also very long and also allow us to introduce certain characters, definitely it falls under the narrative poetry. Now, apart from alliterative verse and narrative poetry, we can definitely call it as an Arthurian romance, as it encompasses the matters of the Great Britain. Now, what are these subject matter of the Great Britain that was prominent in the literature of the Middle English was that these matters of the Great Britain mostly dealt with legendary kings, heroes, and particularly King Arthur. As such, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight falls under the category. So we are aware of three genres that this poem can be um, taken into consideration. Those are narrative poetry, Arthurian romance or chivalric romance, and alliterative verse. Now coming to the plot of this particular narrative poem. What do we see? That it is set in the West Midland and North Wales. So the main characters in this particular verse are Green Knight, Sir Gawain, King Arthur, Sir Botilac, and Lady Botilac. And the main theme is the importance of truth, wisdom, virtue, morality that are exhibited through different actions and events that we will gradually experience. Now, talking about Sir Gawain, who is he? So, historically, he was the Knight of the Round Table and is considered to be the nephew of King Arthur. So we find that this character is not only mentioned in the Middle English poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, but is also found in various other literatures as well. So we see that Sir Gawain is mentioned in the Scottish, Italian, Spanish, Dutch, German literature as well. Now, talking about the person Sir Gawain was. So he was very disciplined, prominent, and played a very integral part in the round table in the courtly exchanges of Sir King Arthur. Now, what happened is that uh, how Sir Gawain meets Green Knight. Now, this poem has certain twists and turns. So, if we talk about and shift our experience from Sir Gawain to Green Knight, we see that uh, this particular knight has a very surreal image of him. So the Green Knight suddenly becomes as an unexpected visitor when King Arthur was enjoying the Christmas feast along with all the members and courtiers and people. So we see that King Arthur's headstrong nephew and a prominent member of the Round Table meets the Green Knight during this particular Christmas feast. Now, this Green Knight is green in color, who comes on a horse. He is sitting on a horse who is green itself. So we can call of him being someone very surreal, or we can also talk of him being a mysterious giant who appears at Camelot. Now, Camelot is the area which is the place where King Arthur is the ruler or is leading the atmosphere and the geography. Now, there is a challenge from this unexpected, mysterious giant. Now, the Green Knight will allow any man to strike him once with his axe, and if accomplished, if the person is able to strike him, then he shall return the blow the following year and not that particular day. So, hearing such an unexpected challenge from this unexpected mysterious giant, King Arthur was highly perplexed but had accepted the challenge. Now, this challenge was issued while King Arthur was organizing a Christmas feast in Camelot. But even though he had accepted, it was instead of him that Sir Gawain accepted and who succeeded and accomplished in this particular challenge. So we see Sir Gawain strikes him and decapitates the Green Knight. Now, this particular Green Knight makes all the people and the courtly members all the more amazed. Why? Because he quickly picks his beheaded head from the ground and mounts away on his green horse. So this Green Knight, who is gigantic and is sitting on a horse which is also green, readers are brought to a very surreal capture of event. So strangely, even we as a reader are experiencing certain unnatural, creepy things that are going on in the court. Now everyone is amazed when Green Knight picks his beheaded head with no falls and falters and mounts away from his horse in a very speedy way. But also, now that Sir Gawain uh, has won the challenge, the Green Knight promised him to give him the axe. Now he has been gifted the axe by the Green Knight, who is now gone, and everybody is cherishing the moment. They are celebrating the victory of Sir Gawain. But as we all know that the Green Knight had said that he would strike the blow the next year in the same time. Now we move on to that time of the year after a year when we see Sir Gawain arrives at the Green Chapel, who is honored by the Lord of the Castle. Now, gradually, as we move into the further actions and events, we'll come up with certain themes like testing, hunting, chivalry, virtue, and so on. Now, as the time approaches, the next year, Sir Gawain travels across the wilderness of Great Britain and suffers from hunger and cold, as the path that he had chosen to reach the Green Chapel was long and terrific. He finds a castle where he is welcomed by the Lord, and he waits there to take rest for a few days. And in this castle, he meets a lord who introduces him to the lady and to a old elderly woman. Now, the host strikes a deal with Sir Gawain, saying that every day after he goes to hunting, he would give him what he had hunted on that day in return, or what Sir Gawain would manage to acquire staying at the castle. Now Sir Gawain happily and excitingly accepts the deal, and from here we see that there are certain twists and turns coming up. Now the next day, as the Lord goes out for hunting, the lady enters the chamber of Sir Gawain and tries to tempt him with her beauty and charm, but miserably fails in the first 2 days with only a kiss and two from Sir Gawain. Now every evening when the Lord come, when the host used to come and give what he had hunted, so he had nothing but to give a kiss on the first day in return, and give 2 kisses on the second day as he returned, and on the third day he gives him only a kiss but dismisses him and doesn't allow him to know of the green girdle that was given to him by the lady of the castle. Now, here we see that there is a deceit coming in. So, on the first day, he remained true as the Lord had gifted him what he had hunted, and in exchange, he gave him a kiss which he had given to the lady. That is the only thing that he had gained throughout the day. Now, the second day, the similar thing happened. He came and gave Sir Gawain what he hunted, but instead, Sir Gawain gave him 2 kisses which he had given to the lady. That is, he gained throughout the day. Now, on the third day, he gave only the kiss instead of the girdle that was gifted to him by the lady. Now, what is the significance of this green girdle was that it would allow him to preserve his his power on the day and would not allow him to die. So it would be a very protective kind of a gift that would not allow him to uh, die on the following day. Now he didn't want to give it back because he was fearful of death. So he didn't want it to die. So he thought that if this green girdle would save me, then why not keep it to myself? Now after the 3 days are covered, Sir Gawain leaves to find the Green Chapel, which is basically a grassy mound where he finally meets the Green Knight. Now, here we see that the Green Knight initially, as promised, was supposed to give him the blow in this year, in this ground. Now, on the first blow, he withdraws. Similarly, in the second blow also, he withdraws and flinches. Now, this agitated Sir Gawain, and he asks him to give him the final blow and do as promised and as challenged. Now, in the third blow, the Green Knight had blow but also withdrew, only causing him a small wound on his neck. Now Sir Gawain asks him that why is he doing such an act, where it was promised that a year back whoever will be striking the Green Knight will be given a blow the next year. Now when he had the chance to blow Sir Gawain, then why is he withdrawing not once but thrice? So here Green Knight exposes himself and says that there is this elderly old lady who had who used her charm to disguise him in the form of a Green Knight even in the previous year and now. So the Green Knight reveals his name, and he is the Lord of the Castle, Sir Botilac, and explains that he is the Lord of the Castle where Gawain had stayed the 3 days, and that because Gawain did not honestly exchange all of his winnings of the day, Bartilac drew blood on his third blow, which was very less. So we find that there is a very good side of Bartilac coming up. When he had a chance to kill Sir Gawain, he did not, because he was simply trying to test his morality and virtue. Now we find that hearing this, Sir Gawain is extremely humiliated and embarrassed, and Sir Gawain accepts his fault. But the host tells that the elderly lady Morgan Le Fay had disguised him in the form of a green knight to test the Arthurian knighthood, and how are his knights as a how are they in terms of chivalry, in terms of power, in terms of responsibility, and so on. So In the eyes of Bertie Lack, Gawain has proven himself a worthy knight, with equal in all the land. And definitely we see that, he is relieved to be alive now and not dying under the hands of the Green Knight. And he is able to identify his own failure as a knight in terms of morality and virtue. Now, we see that the story shifts from the castle to the Camelot. Now, Gawain wears the girdle that was gifted to him by the lady of the castle on his arm as a reminder of his own failure. Then he returns to the Arthur's court in Camelot, where all the knights join Gawain, celebrates his victory, and he gets to tell them all that had happened and how far he has realized his failure as a knighthood. And and like him, everyone wishes to wear a green girdle on their arms to show their support towards Sir Gawain. So certainly this is a very epic poem where the plot is kept in tune with fairy tale legends and folk tales that sets a very moving cause of morality, truth, and virtue. Also, there is a presence of both skepticism and enthusiasm. So the treatment of human character and motive is realistic, that we see very unique of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And we can also say that the Gawain poet made virtue a necessity and has been able to come up with themes that is so profound yet ignored. So definitely it's a very celebrated and popular Arthurian romance, a Middle English romance, a narrative poetry, and a alliterative verse which stands out and influences the following literary periods. So, hope you have liked it. If you want a detailed version, please comment or mail. Thank you.